Hey there, guys. I'm James Pratt. Welcome to another terrific edition of Mogul Live. Really excited to bring you guys here. Great to see you in the chat, Gaurav, Paul, John. Great to see you in the chat as well. Really excited to bring you one of the really exciting film director from Hollywood, Ramchandani. We're just about to get him in the chat, but before I do, I just want to give you guys a quick intro, just a little bit about his work. I'm sure you would have seen his productions throughout the years. Writer, director, and producer, but we're really excited to talk with Mo today more about the feature film Bonded, which Mogul has very much a vested interest in, but also it's a very powerful story and a great story that we want to share. So I'm going to just show you guys very quickly before we bring Mo into the chat, just a couple of assets that we can see. This is Mo on the left. We're going to have a chat with him, shooting Bonded, which is a very powerful story, deals with a great subject matter as well. So we'll talk to him about that. Great to see in the chat as well, Andrew, as well. Just giving you guys a couple of other films you might have seen Mo be a part of. Luke Wilson, of course, Outlaws and Angels, was one of the producers on here. Great film. Guys, ask any questions you like as well. So when we're doing the chat with Mo, you can ask him about Bonded, but also any of these projects that we've got coming up too. And a couple of other projects you might have seen here. Of course, this is a great film. Back a little while back, Paul Rudd, Adam Scott, 2 Days. Again, this was one of Mo's earlier films that he produced. But the main thing we want to talk about with Mo here is obviously Bonded, which is this feature film here. Guys, really excited to hear your questions coming up. It's a very, very powerful story. Sex trafficking. I'll get Mo to explain a little bit more about what the motivation to make this film was and what some of the sort of the deeper challenges were making it. But basically tells the story about a young boy transformed across the border in Mexico into America, into a very, very tough life. Thanks, Tone, for the remark there. So we want to talk very much to him about this. Again, I'll show you one more asset, guys, just so we can get a little bit of an idea of the film that we're actually looking at with Mo. Of course, I'm sure you guys would have seen this guy, Jason Patric, very talented actor. He's one of the stars of Bonded. So this will be a great opportunity as well for anyone to ask, what's it like working with Jason? What are the challenges? And then again, just going into our one more asset I'll show you guys. This is a great one just with the setup. So shooting Bonded, as you can see, this is a really slick production, but it tells a very, very deep story. So we're really excited to be able to have that story. So with that, let's get Mo into the chat. So just bear with me. We'll see how technical issues are at the moment. If we can pull Mo in. Nightly Crypto, good to see you in the chat, Mogul Live. Mo, it's a real pleasure to have you. How are you?
Very nice to meet you, James. Good. Can you see and hear me fine?
Yeah, you're great. You're great. I was going to say the group, the chat that we've got 92 people in the chat at the moment. So they might ask you questions.
Yeah, no worries. No worries. I'm going to see, how do I turn up the volume? Here, I have my friend. Is that okay? No worries. All good. I'm ready to go.
Awesome. Great to see you. I want to just quickly ask, just sort of starting off, where have we got you now? Are you in Los Angeles at the moment?
Yeah, I'm in LA. I'm at home at my condo in LA.
Ah, fantastic. And what are you, this week, what are you working on? Is this post on Bonded all week?
Yeah, so it's really interesting. I was supposed to fly back to Mexico City tomorrow to start color correction on the movie, but my DP got COVID.
Oh, wow.
And so I'm staying here to finish the music because we record all the music live on Saturday and Sunday next week. And then I'm going to fly to Mexico next Monday. So that's the plan.
Yeah, well, I showed a couple of the guys in the chat, just some stills from shooting and a little bit of the, some of the still frames that have come out from Bonded. It looked fantastic.
Yeah.
A deep subject matter as well. How did you get onto the project as the director and also being very close producing as well?
Yeah, I wrote the film, and I'll try and make the long story real short because I know we don't have all day, but I originally had written a film about a kid from Pakistan who was sold into slavery in the late 1980s. His name was Iqbal Masih. This is a true story. He was sold into slavery into a carpet factory, and he ended up breaking free, and he ended up becoming the spokesperson for the Bonded Labor Liberation Front, which was the organization that was fighting the Pakistani government to change the labor laws. And his crusade kind of grew. He came to America. He met Senator John Kerry. He won the Reebok Human Rights Award at 13 years old. And when he went back, the Pakistani government had him murdered because he'd become kind of this sort of spokesperson for the anti-child labor law. And as a result of his death, President Clinton signed a bill that said that America would no longer buy products from countries that didn't have a child labor law. So I had written that story a long, long time ago, and I had sold it to the producer of Saving Private Ryan, Mark Gordon. We had tried to get it made for a long time, and it was very interesting because he was like, kid, no one wants to see a movie about Indians and Pakistanis kids only. We got to have a big American star in it. And lo and behold, 2 years later, Slumdog Millionaire came out and became the highest grossing film for 20th Century Fox, most profitable after Star Wars. And then he was like, hey, kid, guess what? Now there's already been a movie that had like Indian and Pakistani kids. So, we got to find something else. And I wanted to really get this film made. And then I had eventually ended up sending the script to Pierce Brosnan's company, and he really liked it. And he said to me, him and his producing partner had said to me, hey, you know what? This issue is rampant even in America. Like in Los Angeles now, we have, people who are essentially slaves. And I didn't know about any of this. So I spent a year researching the subject matter, and I found this case of 72 Thai immigrants that basically had been held and trapped in a house for 7 or 8 years, and they were beaten and sexually abused, and they were making clothes, and which was really interesting because normally when you think of human trafficking, you think of sex slavery, but this film is actually about the fashion business, and it's about California, where we have, estimated in Los Angeles alone, 160,000 Latin American immigrants who are slaves in the fashion industry working in sweatshops that have now gone sort of all underground and residential. And when I found this case, I thought, you know what, this would be an interesting story to write. So that's kind of what got everything rolling for me.
And what was the first piece of the puzzle with Bonded? Was it attaching the cast? Was it getting the right cinematographer and the right team from the crew side?
It was really weird. I had a couple of false starts. I mean, to be totally honest, I wrote the film in 2011. And at the time, Pierce Brosnan wanted to play the American cop. He was going to play the American cop in the movie. And it was all set up to go. But unfortunately, my mother got stage 4 bone marrow cancer. And I sort of abandoned the project. And I spent the next 6 years taking care of my mom, And my mom passed away in 2017, and I went through kind of a year of just dealing with that. And then I decided at the end of 2017, hey, I'm going to make the film. And I had a friend who actually introduced me to Mogul, John Ram, who'd been friends with me for years. And he was the head of Viacom in Canada. And I sent him the script and I said, hey, I want to make this story. I need some money. And he was like, okay, I love this project. I'd be willing to invest in it. But I want to kind of see what your vision is. And I made this mission statement video. And the mission statement video helped me raise all the money. And then once we got the money, that's when we went after the cast and so forth. And truthfully, this isn't a film that's about cast. When I was originally casting the movie, there were all these stupid names being thrown around for Officer Stevens. And I felt like it would have hurt the authenticity of the film to make James Bond the cop, or to make some of the other names like Mel Gibson or whatever, Nicolas Cage. It just sort of would have taken you out of reality, So it was always for me about finding the right actors for the role, and primarily the kid. The whole film centers around this boy. This mute boy is practically in every shot of the movie.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and guys, for anyone that's just joined us, Mogul Live, chatting with Mo, director of Bonded. We've got a whole slate of films we could talk about with you, but we really want to circle in on Bonded at the moment. Tell me a little bit about the challenges that you face shooting a film like this, which has a deep subject matter, But obviously, you want to tell it truthfully, like you were hitting on with the actors before. What are some of the challenges?
Well, it's really interesting. I think for me personally, the big, there's been a bunch of challenges. It's been, we've been delayed and it's been incredibly difficult. Number one, I would say no one gives a shit about the issue. Like most people don't care, like they're so involved in their lives. And for me, that personally affected me a lot because my only motivation in making the film was I wanted to shed light on this issue in America. There's been a bill that Obama tried to pass. It's now called the Business Transparency on Human Trafficking and Slavery Act. It's under review by the House Financial Services Committee in the Senate. And my goal was, hey, if I can make a film, an actual, not a documentary, because documentaries I feel preach to the choir, an actual narrative feature that my brother in London and my family in India and, my friends in Hong Kong would watch, that could get a conversation going about this. That was my primary motivation. And I worked on this film for free. Like I wasn't paid as a writer or a director, which I've never done before when I was producing movies, but I did it because I said, I'm so blessed to live this extraordinary life where I get to do what I'm passionate about. And there are all these people in first world America who are not getting basic human rights. Like I felt very connected to that idea. And it was very hard to find people that wanted to get onto that crusade. And the truth is that this issue is never going to go away unless there's a shift in mass consciousness. And so it was very disheartening for me to see how difficult it was to get people. At the end of the day, especially people in the movie industry, all they care about is getting paid. All they care about is money, And I understand that as well. That was one of the biggest issues. I think during shooting, we had a lot of challenges because it's a small movie budget-wise, but it's very big in its scope, soccer stadiums, and, we rebuilt an entire house. Like I really pushed to get the best out of everybody. And we had a lot of people that took advantage of us. We had producers in Mexico that stole money from us. And we had a police officer here, like a retired police officer that, created problems for us that worked on the set. Like there were all these people that didn't care like why we were doing this. And they were just they were trying to think about what can we get out of it? You know what I'm saying? And that was very hard for me because I had to keep going. And ultimately, my lead actor, Ari Lopez, he was really committed during the shoot, and he was kind of part of my I call it my support group, as was my DP at the time, like while we were shooting. And then into post-production, my editor, Matt Dizell, like he's been like my therapist, my editor, my producer. He kind of stepped up and, he really sort of supported me. And then the other thing is I didn't have a producer. Like no one wanted to produce this movie because there was no money. And I was lucky that I had these two investors, John Graham and Rufus Parker, who put money in the film, and they kind of had to step up, even though they have full-time jobs. They stepped up to really sort of produce the film. So, those were a lot of the challenges, a lot of the people that took advantage of us, a lot of the crew that sort of didn't care. And it was really bizarre because I guess we were doing something very ambitious and challenging, and we were trying to look for people. And for every one person I found that sort of bought into the cause, there were 10 people that just didn't care. Like I'll give you an example. I had a sound guy in LA, and he showed up like 2 hours late on the first day. And I was like, what are you doing? He was like, dude, you're getting a good rate. You're only paying me $300, so you should be happy. And, it's stuff like that. Like stuff that normally happens on independent films,
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, I
would
think
say that was...
often, a day can be, 2 steps forward and then 5 steps back by the end of the day. It just
Exactly. It's literally all the way up to this very moment. And I think, the other thing is when you're a director, if you watch Ron Howard's masterclass on directing, he says every single project is going to break your heart. And that's how I feel with, like, this broken my heart in so many different ways, professionally, personally. Like I was thinking today, like it, ever since my mom passed away, like I feel very alone, and I've gone on this kind of journey alone. And I had mentioned on Facebook, and I told a bunch of friends, hey, we're doing our first Q&A for the movie today with Mogul, the crypto platform that invested in us and so forth. And it was really interesting because a lot of people said, oh yeah, we'll try and watch it and this and that. Not one person from my family or friends or whatever said, hey man, good luck. Like, congratulations. Like, this is such a great step for you in your journey. And, you know, I mean, I kind of get, you know, that hurts so much, but I kind of get through it by thinking my mom's watching me, you know, and it's kind of
Yeah.
her energy and her motivation that pushed me forward, you know?
And I think for anyone that's just suddenly jumped in the chat, we're talking about the feature film Bonded. I think the big thing of it as well, Mo, is that you have a lot of subtext within the film that will always stay relevant. Meaning, if someone watches the film in a year's time, they're going to relate to it. And if they watch it now, they're going to relate to it. It's just not a popcorn flick. Just on that as well, guys, you can ask Mo any questions you like. I kind of want to, if I could sort of detach your career and take you back to the film Today, Paul Rudd, Adam Scott, and Bonded. What's the difference director? Like, what's this a director making a film, you know, that style of film back then, and say a film like Bonded, which has got tremendous amounts of subtext in it?
Okay, so here's the truth. All those movies, 2 days, and you know all the other movies I worked on, I was a producer. So here's what happened. I didn't direct those films. I didn't write those films. My background was in finance. I went to the London School of Economics, and you know I came out to LA, and I wanted to be a movie producer. And ironically, my whole goal was I want to be this mogul. I want to be like Daryl Zanuck, you know. And I came into that, and I was very lucky that when I was 23 years old, I met a man by the name of Irvin Kershner, who became my mentor, and he was the director of Empire Strikes Back and RoboCop and these great films. And he said, you know what, kid? You don't want to be a mogul. You don't want to be rich. You actually have the eye of an artist, and you have a lot of passion. But because you come from this Indian family that just thinks about business and they have no passion and no understanding of art, you think that's who you are, but you're not. And he kind of forced me into start writing and, you know, he said, I'm telling you, you're a director. He actually did an interview about me before he died in 2010. And all through that period, I was producing. And what had happened was there was a film that I'd sold to Lionsgate years ago. And the film was sold off a trailer. And then the studio wanted to do a whole bunch of reshoots. I was the producer. And it was the first time I had to get behind the camera and I actually had to shoot. And I don't know, it was the first time I enjoyed what I was doing. It wasn't about the end. It wasn't about, when I was producing, I realized I hated it. I didn't enjoy it at all. It was always about money and deals and how can I take from somebody? Whereas when I was directing, I felt I was giving my energy to people. And I realized, wow, like Kershner was right. Like this is what sort of my path is. And Bonded is the first film that I've directed.
And what about the Hollywood right now? I mean, for any filmmakers out there like that are kind of jumping into it, or let's say they've moved to Los Angeles to make that career, what's your best piece of advice that you'd give them based on your experience?
I would say you don't even need to move to Hollywood. I would say this of anyone who's an actor, a writer, or a director. Even a producer, at the end of the day, you're a storyteller. You have something to say. You have a viewpoint on life. You have a viewpoint on how people should live their life. And I would say that you can, with the technology that we have at our disposal, like you can create content with your phone. You know, like I used to teach at this acting studio, and you know I'd hear these actors all the time. Oh, I got to move to LA and get an agent, and I'm like, that's all bullshit. I'm like, you know, you look at a guy like Vin Diesel. He's not exactly Marlon Brando or you know Daniel Day-Lewis, but he made a short film years ago called Multifacial, where he sort of gave us an insight into who he was, and it was amazing. It was unique. It was his view on life that was unique to him. Only Vin Diesel can be Vin Diesel. And Steven Spielberg saw that and cast him in Saving Private Ryan. So I feel like a career is a symptom. It's not a goal. The goal has to be, I want to express myself. And the symptom is if you do it authentically, you're going to have a career as a result of it. You know what I mean?
Just on the authentic subject, what was it like working with Jason Patric?
Oh man, it was. I'll tell you, it's a really interesting. He's a really interesting guy. He's, you know, in the beginning we didn't get along because he's very tough, and he was kind of like very close to the vest with his ideas and things. But it was really interesting. He's very, very smart. I mean, a lot of people don't know this, but Jason Patric is, the grandson of Jackie Gleason, and his father is a Pulitzer Prize winning playwright, Jason Miller, who is the priest in The Exorcist. And as I sort of let him in, I realized he had a world of wisdom for me, and he was great. He read the script and he was like, I would just cut my character down. And I've never heard that before from an actor. He cared so much about the overall story. Like, he cared so much, and it was weird. Like, during the shooting of the film, we butted heads a lot, but we became very, very good friends. And, I see him all the time, and he became an executive producer on the movie. He's helped me tremendously. Like, his insights into the script and even into the cut has been great. But he's meticulous. Like, he's very smart. Like, I won't mention any names, but there's a lot of famous actors that are not very smart and that are not very meticulous. And they basically do what they do in order to get paid and do interviews and go to the Oscars. This guy really cares about story. He has a perspective. He has an insight. He's very, very intelligent. And, you have to earn his respect, especially if he's worked with great directors, Barry Levinson and Lily Zanuck. And, he's been the lead of movies with Brad Pitt and Robert De Niro and Dustin Hoffman. And you know what I'm saying? So he's tough.
Yeah,
he was a blessing for me. He was a blessing for me.
Yeah, he's definitely the actor's actor. He's the real deal. The composer of Bonded, Lisa Gerrard. What was your choice to use?
She's Australian.
Yeah, she's got a phenomenal reputation, and people forget about how important music is. Well, on a feature film. What was your process, first of all, like working with her, and also why did you choose her?
So, I've always been a fan of hers. Like, Gladiator is one of the greatest soundtracks ever written, and she co-composed that with Hans Zimmer. And Now We Are Free, which is the track in Gladiator at the end when Maximus fights, Joaquin Phoenix's character. I've been listening to that in my car for years and years and years. And when we were looking for a composer, I had just thought, hey, I'll send it to her. I'll send her the rough cut of the picture and see how she sort of responds to it. And she's actually the only person on my entire team that responded with, I cannot believe what these children are going through. And my passion has always been, for these underprivileged kids. And that's what motivated her to do it for very little money. And, the music she's written is phenomenal. So I think I just took a long shot, and I didn't even I think her agent had told John Graham, yeah, this isn't really going to work out. You guys are offering no money, and she normally gets paid, these crazy amounts of money. But yeah, sure, we'll send it to her, And they sent it to her, and she just responded to the material, and she responded to the rough cut of the movie, and that's how we connected.
That's fantastic. Well, guys, I think we've got about 5 minutes left, or we're going to say goodbye to Mo. So any questions, bring them through in the chat. Mo, I've really enjoyed the chat so far. I'd love to ask you, like, when can we get a glimpse of Bonded? What's the kind of like the next steps?
So we're basically, what will happen is we're going to be done first week September. So right now we're color correcting the film, we're mixing the film, and then we're also finishing all the visual effects. You know what I mean? So we'll be done first week of September. And then after that, like, let's just say by the end of September, we'll be able to post a trailer or something that you guys will be able to see. But the cut will be finished by latest with all the deliverables. When you finish a movie, there's also a whole technical process on making the actual screening copy, which takes a couple of weeks. But latest by the end of September is what we're looking at right now.
Can't wait. I was going to say, I think it's, first of all, for anyone that's kind of come in the chat late, Rash, good to see you. Really good film. I watched the documentary that was on Vimeo talking about the mission statement, why you wanted to do it. And,
right. That video is how we raised all our money.
Yeah, well, I think that's the first time I've seen something where someone in Hollywood actually wants to make something from the heart, rather than, hey, if you put this much money in, you'll get this much money back, and it's very black and white. This just seemed like a project actually had, like I said, it had a lot of heart to it, a lot of subtext. And any project like that is always successful because it comes from the right place.
Right. Absolutely.
So Yeah, so tremendous amount. Well, I know Mogul's right behind you. We're really excited to be connected with the film Bonded. Um, Guys, if there's no questions coming in with Mo, what we'll do is we'll obviously keep an update. But if anyone would like to see that mission statement video, is that available, Mo?
Yeah, yeah. The mission statement video is available. Like we can put that up on the Mogul site. That's not a problem.
Yeah, I think that would be great. That would be great. Well, listen, it's been amazing to chat with you. Can't wait to see Bonded, and
You
really,
too.
really, patient.
Thank you very much for your time, James. Thank you. It was a pleasure being on this.
I appreciate it. Look forward to getting you back. And guys, thanks very much for having a chat with us here today. We'll put the video up of the mission statement of Bonded. And like I said, this is a great film, and can't wait to see when it comes out. Thanks a lot, guys. See you soon on Mogul Live.